January 11th, 2021. I'm sitting in Linda's room. A movie came on, one I would not normally watch. I've tried to watch before, the Ghostbusters, the one from 2016 where they redo it all as women. I've tried to watch it. I was in a different headspace. Didn't have any connection to where I was. But now I'm in January 11th, which is the cat scratches, whatever, and it's the year 2022. And it came on again. And this time, the part of the movie where it came on, I found absolutely hilarious. Because again, it's a different headspace for what's transpired between then and now. Also, I find it incredibly interesting in like an investigative paranormal parallel of who knew what when in like a tell-all in the American cinema. There's a spot where if you had one white personality that split into three different characters and cast members to speak on a difficult subject, because you don't want to portray somebody as having a multiple personality, but dynamicism, or dynamic character depth, meaning that you may be one face forward to the public, one face at home privately with your family and children. And if you get stuck in some kind of hectic emergency situation that is out of your normal realm and spectrum of spirituality, like alignment, you may act completely separately or different than whatever. This becomes an interesting dynamic for somebody who's never experienced being held out of spiritual alignment or cosmic alignment and forced into horribly debilitating alternate scenarios from where spiritually you were built for. And so here I am watching this Ghostbusters 2016. I don't know what it means to whomever funded and created this remake. I used to call it a remake, R-E-M-A-K-E. Now Linda's been using this word reboot, R-E-B-O-O-T. But I also I was flipping between when commercials were coming on to this movie. I was flipping to Blue Bloods, and there was a scenario between Jamie, the character that I credit my son Benjamin, and then I don't know what her name is, the parallel to my character and their relationship. They were talking about something with a superior, and she's like, well, my dad, when people look at me like I'm a criminal. I was like, and she said, but when they look at your dad, because he's a Reagan in the NYPD, they look at him like he's the police commissioner. Now, the duality of this is understandable because in action that's how it might be portrayed. The difference comes in where you have an officer who had a shady private life in order to get that character, Benjamin, which one of us doesn't like to talk about, and whatever on that. But there is a dynamic behind the dynamic that was forced through in this spiritual divide that was not acceptable, but just keeps perpetuating and people know about it. But they've yet to fix it for where I'm at. And I noticed that the character Danny, who's the character I mentioned with Jason, 1976, we'll use a year, he had a wife named Linda. My mother's name is Linda, Linda. And it's interesting because Linda gets along with Jason better than I ever got along with Jason. But in the show, at some point they kill off Linda's character. No idea why. But I know somebody knows why in manuscripts. But anyway, getting to this Ghostbuster moment, it's interesting how the character that they picked for the mayor of New York City looks a lot like some employee. Like, I think he was an FDA former commissioner, and some woman that speaks on behalf of something called a CDC about vaccines and about COVID and so on and so forth. And it looks like them in this movie, which is an interesting whatever. In people have known that we were so sufficiently off course, and there's been documentation. It's just not in the field or realm of consciousness of everyone in order to fit the pieces together.
Who threw him out the window? A ghost threw him out the window.
Oh, you mean like Patrick Swayze? Like he's sitting behind you making some pottery?
Yeah, like Patrick Swayze. That's it. And then we were all dancing in a summer camp in the Catskills, and then we sat down, and he was behind me, and we made a vase.
Oh, you're combining the two.
I combined a couple of Swayze.
Oh, you know what was a good one? Roadhouse.
I love Roadhouse.
Point Break.
He was a
See, there's that dimension in character.
He's a ghost in that, too.
Well, you know,
Now here's the mayor's office.
Who are you guys?
Official business. We'll take it from here, thank you. You need to come with us.
Why?
The mayor needs a word, ladies.
So it's tandem parachuting. So you'd be with an instructor, the little spoon,
And who is on top?
the instructor.
Right, so now this gentleman looks like the former FDA commissioner that I see on news. I don't know what his name is. The New York City television box puts him on. He looks very similar. And then this woman looks similar to the CDC spokesperson of some sort that they have on in this year, 2022. I believe they also aired their faces in 2021 on rabbit ear level channels, so I don't have to go diving deep into a possibility of so many different podcasts that I have no idea what studio, what country, what fund, there's no way for me to do that level of research. I don't have access to private investigators or to however they constructed this system of protecting oneself.
Hey, there you are. Welcome. Sorry for the mess and for the drama. Please come sit down. Take that one. Good. That's right. And you. That's a good one for you. And take the seat. Good. That's not so good. No feet on the table, please.
Sir, we don't have a lot of time. And we're not frauds. We are legitimate
Let me
scientists.
interrupt you. We know you're not frauds because we have been monitoring this situation quite closely.
Agents Hawkins and Rourke are with Homeland Security, so we've been investigating this extremely quietly.
So, what do you know?
We believe that someone is creating a device that attracts and amplifies paranormal activity.
And that activity can be escalated now, and giving us an even larger scale event.
Larger scale. Well, that sounds terrible. Okay, well, you've been doing great work. Well done. We really appreciate it, but it's time to knock it off.
What?
Knock it off.
No, I mean, I heard you, and I see the hand gesture. What is it?
These gentlemen are on it. Let the government do their work.
We're just worried that you all are drawing a lot of attention to yourselves.
What?
Patty does wear big earrings.
Well, if it's a crime that look good, guilty is charged.
Other than that, I feel like we keep a very low profile.
You drive a hearse with a ghost on it, and you use a distinctly un-American sounding siren.
Do you have any idea how many federal regulations you're breaking on a daily basis?
1,
No.
2.
No.
Is it 1?
Just sit quietly. Here's the essence of the deal. We are going to have to make the public believe that you are frauds.
Wait, why? But the human brain, can only handle so much. If everybody knew what was going on, there'd be a panic. So we need to get the information out there that the incident at the concert was a hoax. Because otherwise, there'd be mass hysteria.
We don't want mass hysteria either. Our main concern is that we're allowed to continue our work.
Yes, that is very important.
Very important.
But my concern is, I feel like the cat is sort of already kind of out of the bag.
I think what they're saying is the cat is out of the bag. They want us to put the cat back inside the bag.
No, I know that's what they're saying, but I'm saying the cat's already out, so it's hard to put the cat back
It's
in the...
impossible.
But that's why they have that saying, because if
It's
the
a
cat is out of the bag,
nonsense
you can't
saying.
put it back in the
I
bag.
put a cat in the bag all the time.
But once the cat is out of the bag, aren't you like, oh, the cat is out of the bag?
We just want to shove that damn cat back in the bag.
The cat has been out of the bag before, and yet people lose interest and put it back in.
People always move on.
Sheriff in New Mexico reports a UFO encounter. The crew of the SS Orang Medan dies mysteriously. The entire town of Langville, Montana goes missing.
It does. Okay, but we're talking about relocating. No one's being killed here, right?
They were turned inside out.
Their skin is on the inside of their body?
Their skin is on the inside of their body because their organs are on the outside.
But they're okay, right?
Sure.
I think they're dead.
On that horrifying note, thank you all so much for coming. Call this number if you have any more info.
But when it comes to these ghosts, we'll take it from here.
It says West
The U.S.
Blue.
government doesn't need the help of hobbyists, okay? So go back upstairs to your little dim sum tea party, okay? And leave it to us. We're the big dogs. Hey, come on, man. Sorry.
Meatheads.
Lock it.
Okay, wait,
Unlock
hold
it.
on.
Roll your window up.
Watching you.
You think they got genitals in there, or is it more of a Ken doll situation?
I'm watching you!
I'm thinking a Ken doll situation. It's smooth.
Now, it's interesting. There's a lot. The more I turn this machine on in teleportation service, and what did the humans know, and what have they allowed to transpire in the local area, meaning withholding me from His Majesty, for whom I was originally delivered for. I mean, the original elementary school knew. They were kind and courteous. In certain front-facing, whichever. And then anything that was going on locally or internally was behind closed doors. I would have no idea that they were even fighting. So now, that's how my interaction has been. But I see on multiple movie methods from, I don't know what studios or investors or whatnot, have laid out just what they've known or what they knew in anticipation people were allowing to happen, to ignore the situation completely. I mean, I'm not ignoring it willfully. It's hard to know what's just beyond, especially and they're talking about paranormal. The Ghostbusters, the three ladies with the other guests, the three that are scientists, and then the other guest that they said, who brings the Hearst into the situation. I mean, it's a dilemma right from the beginning, but they say it's metaphysical. And that's what I've been harmed by just as of late. I mean, in the physical realm, I had a problem with 1976 as a human and 1975 as a human and a whole slew of other tales that I didn't need to grow. By storyline, storyboard, by action, by anything. I did not need to be thrown into those situations. But yet, there's some larger schematic and group that allowed that to happen. But even outside of that, and more importantly than that, there's climate, environment, and atmospheric changes on a global scale that are much more pertinent. And there are people within subset communities outside of my local reach that know that astrological and cosmological timing, programming, and vortex, when you have a pair that arrive, that are built for each other at majesty and king level, they are to be the most important priority in keeping them in alignment for galaxy level importance. What I don't understand is why it was known. I mean, this is not a beauty contest, this is not a personality contest, this is not The Bachelor or one of the other stupid human breaks in society that now they've made themselves into this, like, contestant and challenge type moronic method that I don't necessarily see in the public when I go, but I don't really go out and interact with the public. I mean, I've had some interaction with a couple of people that are questionable in the sense of, no, they might actually conduct themselves that way. But I don't want to know about it. I don't need to know about it. So I just do whatever I do in trying to get to wherever I need to be safely. And then there's a whole lot of minutia that's been going around that it's been explained. People have taken responsibility for it, or at least their part in it. What I don't understand is how to correct the position that I was built for in getting out of a hole in the ozone and getting back to the A zone for which I was built for or stolen from. Let's just put it that way. Star 1978, Star 8378, Nicole Caruza. It is Earth, Solar System, Milky Way, Universe, Galaxy is broken. And it is Bayside Station, Bayside, New York, 11361. I listened to Fred Savage today. He was on the Drew Barrymore show. This comes after there was an announcement this morning. Tony DeCoppola, the real Tony DeCoppola, mentioned something about a Hungarian study with a man who moved to Hungary with his dog and had his dog stay inside of this MRI machine. And they tested the dog's brain on word, on development, on languages, on very specific stuff that they were able to prove in Hungary, which I was very impressed by. One show after that, the show that leads in from where Tony DeCoppola was speaking on this subject, it went into Drew Barrymore. She mentioned it not in the same way. Tony had a much more, like Drew Barrymore's more entertainment type news, different level of journalism, I think. I mean, that's my interpretation anyway, but Drew Barrymore did mention it as well. So that was on 2 programs. And then, or moving pictures or whatever, on the teleportation device. And then there was, Fred Savage was a guest, and he was talking about going from the Wonder Years into directing Hannah Montana, which I didn't even know he did. But his experience and how he threw himself in like this one almost sales pitch to then pitch that episode, like we're going to connect this one and then whatever. So, but he mentioned something about like they did some of these television, like TV spots what I call TV producer land, which is different than movie and cinema. Movie and cinema is a different length, it's a different executive, it's different boards, it's different artist work, it could be different purpose. I mean, like, again, there is differential between the industries from what I've been able to listen and grasp onto, and I've been trying to document, so I at least have some pieces of proof to explain where I draw my conclusions from on how they're running the explaining of certain faux pas, if you will, at the moment, since I don't have, it's FAUXP, it's either PAUX or PAS. Je ne sais pas, n'est-ce pas? So, but in front facing, not that the television ever speaks of it, but I've heard, actually on a documentary, but again, one of those pick-through services where you have to know what you're looking for or stumble upon it in some timing mechanic gift that someone bestows upon you in atomic timing. They mentioned something about a French and Indian war, but as if it happened centuries in the past. Something about a Revolutionary War on the American side, and then something about a colonial war. And I mean, like, again, the way that they even explain their stuff is confusing. I'm starting now to decipher it myself with what I'm seeing in New York. It's now actually a whole lot easier to explain to myself, kind of, sort of, in a not really way, if I ever ran into a historian to align what they know to what I know. But even Fred Savage said, like, there's a universal thing to the TV shows. Yeah, there is, but there's also a baseline where creative director throws certain, or I don't know what the title is, but somebody gets a rumor or an idea through the industry or through the network web of whomever they are and however they work in illuminating only certain details, and then let people run with that ball at wiffle ball committee. I don't really know. Again, I've never really been intricately involved in my story's been sold and told, let's put it that way, in many different methods. I just didn't benefit from any of it, and I didn't give permission for my story to even be pulled into the direction that created the piece of the storytelling being able to be told in a certain manner or another. And I've definitely not had any creative say in what I see or that I'm aware of. But again, I've got time dysplasia and certain parts of amnesia, which is part of the machine breaking at galactic level, and then affects the human, the atomic timing, and the ability to recall. And then you have problems with seeded memories where people think certain outcomes happened, but they didn't. But that happens in a kaleidoscope effect with a connection that's now being manipulated. I mean, again, it's really involved. And I'm stuck underneath some tsunami wave. Just, I feel being dragged upon the coral for human reasons. And it's really unpleasant, and it's actually becoming painful to live within the atmosphere and the environment, with it chemically interacting with my person in this electrolyte and chemical format, being natural. So it's star 1978, star 8378, Nicole Keteros, Earth, Solar System, Milky Way, Universe, Galaxies, Broken. Bayside Station, Bayside, New York, 11361. Thank you.